Hello everybody, let's talk about Kambo. I'm gonna make 3 videos. One is going to be a condensed version of Kambo. The second one is going to be answering some questions and clarifying some things. So if you have any question, please comment, and then I will address it in the next video if I get it. If not, I might make a second one of that. And then the third is my journey with this medicine and a little bit of backstory and some things as a practitioner I have witnessed, through some of my clients, how this medicine was able to help. So, all right, so what is Kambo? Kambo is basically a sacration of the Philomedusa bicolor frog, or the common name would be the giant waxy monkey frog. It's a tree frog that lives in the upper region of the Amazon rainforest. It lives in a tree, high up on a tree, about 70 feet up on a tree, and it eats different medicinal plants and insects, and as nature has this beautiful way of being, it creates this milky substance that is being excreted when there's, let's say, danger comes or anything into the back, the legs, and the arms of the frog. Now, this, we're just going to call it Kambo, but the sacration, it has been used by indigenous tribes for centuries, and they use it for different reasons. The story goes, I spent time with the Katukina tribe, and so I researched other cosmologies, and everyone has a little bit different story. And the Katukina saying that they are one of the originals who have been working with this medicine. And the story goes that there was this illness in the village, and there was nothing that they could do. And this pajé, shaman, but a pajé in Brazil, went out to the forest, and Grandmother Ayahuasca actually was like showing this frog and said like, hey, this is what you do, and go back and then use this medicine the way I just showed you, and you're gonna be cured. You're gonna cure your village. His name was Kampu, so the name Kambo is coming from his name actually. And so he went back to the village and he applied how it was directed, and the village got cured. So it became their medicine. They use it as, they call it the vaccination of the forest, which basically a preventative care. And also if there's any illnesses coming up, they use this sacration to excrete any impurities from the body, so the body will be strong enough and give this boost of peptides, and we get to that. So the body is strong enough to heal itself after. So notice that Kambo is not healing anything. Kambo is a tool, so the body can actually be left with nothing, no toxins, no none of that. So it could actually be strong enough, and the immune system can be strong enough to heal itself. I'm going to try to look at this little dot, because when I'm looking at myself, I know I'm not looking at you. Anyway, and then it's also used for hunting. We can call it hunting magic. And when we get to the peptides, I can kind of go into that, like why is it really good for hunting. But basically, like if like on hunting day they would get up and have Kambo at 5 a.m. and they would go to hunt around like 7ish, and this is like they're more following the sun. But it will give them stamina, so they can go much more longer without food or water, and more focus, more clarity, So these are the ways that usually they use it. And there's something, it's called panima. We can call it nisur, some tribes that call it nisur, some call it panima. But it translates to bad luck. But bad luck is not necessary in a sense of like how we know in the Western culture. Bad luck is more like when we mucked up with all these, toxins and trauma and things, that is basically giving this muck, this physical and energetic muck. When you just like have the foggy brain and like just not really feeling yourself. that's what it's like this thing, it's like sitting on you, you know, it's this like cloud sitting on you, and so it's hard to feel good. So that is the bad luck, that is the panema. Panema is like an accumulated of like energetic and physical toxins, you know, and they could be energetic parasites, you know, we can call them demons, we can call them whatever it is, because there's different kinds, you know, but I just like to refer them as energetic parasites because they are not actually supporting the body, they are parasitic energies that it feasts or like attached to the body, which can, you know, like cause a lot of different things in the body. And so that it removes panema as well. All right, let's talk about how this medicine works. So the way we are working with this medicine is, if it's the first time working, well, let's just talk about the process first. So the process is basically, so the shaman, hopefully it's someone, you know, who knows how to harvest the medicine ethically, and I have a video and I will post it, like the ethical and unethical way of harvesting Kambo. So let's hope this shaman or someone, you know, like goes out and then ethically harvest the Kambo. They basically sing the song, you know, imitate the frog, and the frog will come down and climb on their hands, and they basically, like, there's different ways, different tribes have different ways, you know, sometimes they tie out the little legs and feet and tickle the feet, you know, sometimes they don't even do that either. But basically what they do is irritate the frog, and it could be as gentle as just tickling the feet, and those are the ones I prefer to work with, you know. And again, that's a big topic for later on, you know. But basically, when this secretion comes out, they wipe off some of the medicine that, or some of this secretion, you know, and leave some also for the frog as a defense mechanism. So they don't harvest all of it, right? It is very important because we don't want to be just taking, right? We have to have respect for the very thing that we use as for a medicine, right? Respect for our life. So we take that and they basically put it in this little wooden stick, and it will dry out. Sometimes it's in the powder form, but it will dry out, and when we use it, we basically rehydrating. Now the ceremony itself, in the jungle, there's not much of a ceremony around it. There's really not much, and I don't need to get into it, but if someone interested, I can address that as well. But here, because we are not grown up with this medicine, we do not grow up with the same cosmology, the same belief system, the same, you know, like we're not in a jungle, in one of the still the most pristine places on earth, you know, drinking clean water, eating clean food and all of that, although that's getting a little tainted today too, but okay. And we're not seasoned to understand what this medicine really is, as well as our diet is not the same, our whole body composition is not the same. We are exposed to so much environmental toxins, our water is toxic, our food is mostly full of pesticides, you know, there's also all these pharmaceuticals and everything. So our, you know, makeup, let's call it in the Western world, compared to an indigenous who lives still in a jungle, you know, it's different. So I think it's very important to bridge it, to cater to the Western body and the Western mind. So I prefer to actually do a ceremony around it, because when someone comes in and sit with this medicine, you know, I don't know what they were doing a day before or 2 days before or whatever it is, you know, I don't know. We talk, you know, and we do a medical screening, you know, so I have an idea about like who they are and what they are and all of that, you know, and also when we see each other face to face, I have an idea, you know, but fully we cannot. So I feel like it's very important to bring them into a space to create a safety net, you know, where they feel like they are taken care of. And then also start talking about like what it is that we are working on to activate the nervous system, to bring awareness of why we're working with this medicine, why are we and what are we working on, right? You know, those brain scans, they like showing like, oh, happy picture, part of the brain lights up, sad picture. Oh, this is something whatever for me. So it's the same, but it's like goes through the entire nervous system. Like anything that ever happened to us, any trauma or anything, it's stored in the nervous system. So when we bring awareness, when we start talking about it, it basically primes the nervous system to know what to work with. So I like to have start my ceremonies in with a little conversation. If it's one-to-one, if it's not, it happens before, if it's a group ceremony. And then we do a little refresher and a little bit of like internal work, before we get to the medicine to do the same. So I think that is very important. And after this little initial conversation, of course, we set up the space energetically. And then I'd like to offer a little bit of hape, which is, I can talk about that later, but it's basically a shamanic snuff. It's a snuff that it has been used also by indigenous tribes, and actually like in other places as well. But it's basically mostly jungle tobacco, mapacho, or moy tobacco, that it's mixed with different medicines, ashes usually, or dry leaves and flowers, depends on what the medicinal value is. But it is also a medicine that it usually, it helps you be calm and centered. So all the talk we did, or all the things that you bought in from the exterior world, it will just calm the mind. It helps relieving anxiety, and there's a lot of other things about hape, and I can talk about that later too, because there's there's different actually physical medicinal property too, depends on what the blends are. But we use it for before Kambo. To get us to center, to bring us into the space, and hape also can start pointing out on what is it that we have to work on. So we start with some hape and have a little journey, a little music journey, and then we go into the Kambo ceremony, which is basically we burn some gates, and gates are basically tiny little points that has been burned with this stick. The stick is getting like ember hot on the end, and we just do to burn just the top layer of the epidermis to open up the system, to the skin, to the lymphatic system. That's the only way that I would ever apply Kambo to anyone. We burn, how many gates a person needs, that it depends, it depends on the toxicity level, depends on how someone is willing to let go. So that is depends. So when first time we're sitting together, usually we start with one, we see how the body reacts, and then we go and we can kind of determine how much more to give. I don't like to push it too much. I don't think there's a reason to do this, extreme amount of points. I think it's very important to have enough to be able to work with the medicine, so you're not peeling yourself off, to be present with it and actually actively working with the medicine, but enough for to have enough peptides in it so actually it does the work, but not too much that you are unable to actually work with it. Rare cases we would give more, but we can talk about that later as well if anyone's interested in knowing that. So basically, we give whatever it is, the amount of points that we need. We burn little gates, little points. That's how we measure. And then you will drink some water. And the maximum amount of water that we drink before the ceremony is 1.5 liters. We do not want to drink more than that. We want to have the body really nicely lubricated, but because, water carries out all these impurities, and we want to have some water to stay in the stomach, so when the toxins gets pushed in there, you can actually purge it out. But we don't want to have too much, so your electrolytes in your brain could get out of balance and you can have a really bad migraine, or in worst cases that could be extremely dangerous. Your sodium level can drop, and that is a no. So if anyone tell you that you need to drink a gallon of water before you get there and then another gallon, just don't. That is no. That is a big no. And we drink sometimes through the session as well, but we drink maybe just a couple sips to motivate the purge, when someone gets stuck. Or when there's purge have been happening, so the water is actually getting released, to just to have enough in the stomach to keep flushing it out. Anyway, so so after we drink the water, we apply the medicine. And what you usually feel is, it depends on like when and how, it's a little bit depends on everyone, but basically you start feeling that there's like this extra energy in your system. You feel that there's something. It's like you feel like you're being scanned, like you feel, the medicine enters your lymphatic system and then pretty quickly into your bloodstream, so you can feel that your blood is flowing, and it's this energy. And then you feel some warmth. You can feel like your throat maybe a little bit of swelling up, but I never had anyone actually ever had like air closed. Even people who were asthmatic, there's still no problem with that. You can feel some warmth in your face. Your heart rate start increasing the first like few minutes. Your heart rate increasing. You can feel some warmth in your spine. Your ears could have this little pulsating feeling in your ears. And then the nausea comes, so your heart rate usually evens out, it drops down, it lowers your blood pressure, and then you can get cold, shivery cold, and then the nausea will come. So what the medicine does, and I just talk about the whole process first and then jump back and see like what's actually happening in your body. Yes, so the nausea will come, and then we work with the medicine. You'll be guided, how to work with this medicine to actually go really deep with it, because we can just put the points and, everything can happen on its own. But when we're working with the medicine and we're showing up for it, and we're really visiting the stories in our nervous system, we can do some really beautiful deep healing through that. So once the purge is happening, it depends on like how the purge is, how clear it is, and all of that. I'm looking for the purge to basically like come out somewhat clear, which means the medicine, usually about 20 minutes or so, sometimes a little longer, sometimes it's quicker. So the purge to come out somewhat clear, which means that the medicine basically pulled out as much as impurities as it's possible at that time. And there's an energetic shift as well. So we'll go until, and during the session, we'll be using different instruments and vocals to help basically break up the energy, because sometimes it can get stuck, so there might be some tapping to stimulate some of the organs, or stimulate, reducing or like breaking up again, like energy and guide energy to come out, using rattles and drums and vocals, even shaking it and all of that. It depends on like what a person needs to help, guide and help the process as well. And once the purge is over, and once we consider that okay, this is it for the time, we wipe off the medicine and put a little bit of dragon's blood, which is just a tree sap from the Amazon rainforest, and it's antiviral, antimicrobial, and it's like a liquid band-aid. And then we do about a half an hour rest to integrate and have the medicine go through the system, so you can regain your strength, and then we'll have some tea and some things to regain the strength after about half an hour. Usually we do a sun bath and some musical journey to continue the process, while you basically process through the medicine what's in your system. Now let's talk about what's actually happening in the body. So there's a couple layers to it. The cocktail, this secretion, it has different peptides in it. It has these bioactive peptides and bioactive neuropeptides that basically binds to the receptor sites in the human body. Bioactive means that it's basically, bioidentical means that it's basically completely identical with our body, what our body would produce. So this secretion from this frog, from the Amazon, those peptides are actually working just beautifully and identically with what our own body would produce. And just talking about a little bit of peptides. Peptides are basically chains of amino acids, usually between 2 to 20 chains, links of amino acids. Proteins are like above 50, so some of them are, I'm like, how deep do I go in with this one? So neuropeptides are basically that are, let me let my kitty in, he's like staring at me. Come on. Come on. I apologize for that. Anyway, basically, let's see. Peptides are basically have the ability to completely restructure your entire system, basically. So peptides are neuropeptides, peptides, they're a little different, but they're very similar in nature. They can change the way you behave. Neuropeptides are basically produced by neurons, and the difference between like neurotransmitters and neuropeptides, the neuropeptides are actually could do work from, like they can disperse. And so they can send messages like farther away, and they can like go to places, I'm trying to put it as simple as possible. And it could control like our anxiety level, our stress level, our eating habits, how we respond to things. It could literally like rewire your brain and like go into your nervous system and then find these entangled things and just like, cleaning it up, I'm trying to be using very simple language. But basically like, and then, the peptide, all these peptides, they can change on like they can send out these messages to be like, help with like the cell oxidation, there's antiviral properties. It depends on which peptides, like the human body has like 1,000 or something like that, like some crazy amount of number. Like the Kambo medicine has like about 16 that has been identified that it works. There's different researches, and everyone says a little bit different numbers, but that's kind of like the most spoken about. But it has antioxidant qualities. It can repair cells. It can repair the nervous system. It has anti-cancer properties. It is really amazing for arthritis. It strengthens the immune system. It motivates detoxification. It helps with cardiovascular diseases and different things. In my case, it really cured. I'm gonna say cured because it's been over 6 years and I'm completely symptom-free. Interstitial cystitis or painful bladder syndrome. I have clients who are type 1 diabetics, and when we started the treatment, they needed so much insulin with like boils and different things, like the body was just like not okay. And now a year later, like it needs half of the insulin, but we can talk about that later. But anyway, so these peptides are, as they bind to the receptor sites and the body recognizes them as their own, they basically motivate the function of the different organs and the muscles and different things. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. If anyone has any more questions, any deeper questions, I'm happy to answer that. So that is amazing. And then another way, and this might be a little far out for some people, but I'm perfectly okay with that. A lot of our trauma stored in our body, and we try to protect our body, so we even when there's a trauma happening, we even start carrying our body a little different, and so we start protecting those areas where those traumas stored. And for those who's doing like somatic healing, you know that we can do all the talk therapy we want to, but if the trauma is still in the body, it is really hard to move on. And it does have an effect on our lives. And Kambo have these like mystery around it, and a lot of plant medicines or earth medicines do, that are able to go into the nervous system and rewire it and get rid of those energetic muck. And often when trauma happens to us, we tell ourselves it's not real. It's kind of like an escape mechanism. It's like we overriding it like it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. And a lot of times the brain makes up different stories, so we start forgetting how actually things happen, event happens. And we forget a lot of things that it happened around the trauma. And so we blocking out memories as well. And when we're working with these medicines, and when we're working with Kambo, like I usually ask people to like start looking like recall that trauma, and you don't have to go deep into it, but just create some awareness about it. Because when we do that, we can get rid of that in the body, and it is really hard to explain how it exactly works. But I'm telling you that I started to remember the Gypsy language, which I forgot, even some Russian, I'm Hungarian, but, we were under Russian dictatorship, so until I was 11, so we had to study some of that. And some different memories, that I didn't know I had. And I had some clients, they were like, oh, like I didn't think I had actually like a childhood and much fun in it. And after, a couple of sessions, they were like, I actually have these memories just simple memories of like, with this one particular woman, memories of her mother, like sharing this beautiful space, like laughing together and all that. And she just thought that her mom was like just non-existent, And so all these beautiful, precious memories that we blocked out because of the trauma, we can have them back. And when it's released from the body, we start noticing that everything just looks different. So oftentimes when we work with this medicine, it's like someone just rips some layer off of us. It's like, even if you thought you felt good before, like couple days, because it takes couple days to really go through and the body to reset. Sometimes even the next day you feel amazing. Sometimes some people right after the third session, they feel amazing. Some need some resting time. But anyway, you just feel like things that maybe bothered you before, it doesn't bother you as much, Your body intelligence about certain food develops. So some foods that you were eating and not putting a second thought, or, it wasn't so good for you. But now your body is like, don't give me that. And like, it's going to make me sick. Like, it's just coming in. Or like someone is acting on a way that usually you would react or get annoyed by. And now it's just like, okay, it's just they expressing themselves or whatever. So you have this ease, you might have a little more skip in your step, and you might just see things differently, Anyway, I think this is all I really like to talk about. And I didn't talk about like purging. We offer, like, just to clarify something, purging, when we're saying purging, there's different forms of purging, but when we're referring to Kambo, it's most of the time purging is basically vomiting, because all those toxins, I call it reverse toxification, like that is the medicine, all these peptides, like collect in your body and push it into your bloodstream and into your stomach, and then you basically puke it out. And sometimes you go to the bathroom and you poop it out, and you pee it out. There could be sweating, shaking, different forms, and that's how we get rid of the body. So just clarifying the whole purging term. It is not an easy medicine to be on. Often it's referred to as a warrior medicine because it really, really shows you how strong you can be and how you can endure like things that might be very uncomfortable, If I had to compare it, for those that haven't worked with it, like just think about like as like a bad food poisoning or like a really bad hangover. And that again, like it depends. Like I had someone who, like beautiful 78-year-old woman, who was sitting like it was just like, this is just so wonderful, and I had like strong people, like young, strong people who had a really hard time with it, So it depends. It depends on your headspace, or like where you at, and how you show up, you know. So it's often called the warrior medicine. And older people, I love working with older people because they've been through it, so they just gonna be like, oh yeah, like this is not gonna be a much for me, you know. Younger people, especially if you're not comfortable with feeling not so good, you might be a little bit of like, I don't want this, you know, wipe it off. That's fine too, you know. But you know, my job is to kind of like help you along the process. So yeah. Anyway, it's a beautiful medicine. It is not an easy medicine, but it is so worth it. And I'll talk about my process with it and some others, you know, process with it. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and we can talk about it, and I'm happy to address it. So this is kind of Kambo in a nutshell, and thank you so much for watching it. We already at 30 minutes, so I'm gonna finish up right now. Lots of blessings, and maybe see you sometime in the future. And if you're working with any other Kambo practitioner, just make sure you ask the right questions, and make sure that they have the highest integrity in not just where they get their medicine from, but how they hold the space, and make sure that they are aware of the contraindication, because it is not safe for everyone. If you have any heart condition, if you have Addison's disease, if you have a pacemaker, if you had blood clots, if you are in antipsychotics or anything like that, you know, and things are, you know, like there are others too, but, you know, sometimes it's a case by case. Just talk to them and make sure that you're sitting with the right person, you know. It is a good indicator if they're gonna take a medical intake form from you, so they know exactly what's going on in with you, you know. Then it's most likely that they are, you know, aware, and they can hold a safe space for you. But still, just see, okay, because safety is first. Like, nothing is worth it if you can't be safe. All right, I'll move to the next video. Many blessings.